Renay Grace Rodriguez, attorney, formerly Unhoused.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you today about my lived experiences in homelessness and how I got out of that to where I'm at today. And I thank you for listening. And I ask that you listen with your heart, because I'm going to speak with my heart what I lived. 3 out of 5 women in this country are sexually assaulted by the time they're 18 years old. The trauma of my sexual assault from the age of 9 until I was 14 years old destroyed me. For a time, I had no respect for authority that allowed me to live in such conditions where these things happened to me. And so, of course, I made really bad decisions, a lot of bad decisions, because I could not trust anyone. I had no trust. And as a result, with 2 middle fingers in the air, I walked out of my family home to escape the abuse that I couldn't talk about, that was denied, that was happening, and I went out on the street. And I ended up in Berkeley, California, of all places. Don't know why I ended up there, but I did. And it was my first year in college. My parents, not knowing what had been going on because I couldn't speak of it, had bought me a car to be in college with, and I packed everything I had and I escaped. And when I got up there, well, Berkeley, there's no place to park. And when you can't park, you get parking tickets, and next thing I know, I came out and all I had was a backpack on my back, and the car was gone, and everything I had was gone. And I could not call home and ask for help. I mean, supposedly I could, to go back to the terror and the nightmare that I had been living before. There was no way I was going to do that. So in the streets, People's Park became the friendliest place, but People's Park is not that friendly, as many of you might know from that time in '84, but I was blessed. And you guys all know about what the trauma that goes on there if you are a woman on the street. So I did instinctually what a young middle-class person would do is I said, let me go find a place to hide and sleep at night. That was a huge mistake, because the criminal element that's out on that street found me, and I was raped. After that experience, they tried to help me by putting me into a shelter, women's shelter for domestic violence women. And in that shelter, it's dormitory style where there's cots. And I can assure you that I was not safe there either, because the other people that were women that were in that shelter with me, they were trying to survive too. And whatever little bit of anything that I had, whatever it was taken from me, because I didn't know how to defend myself. On top of that, I went to another shelter because I wasn't safe there, and one of the counselors began to assault me. So one of the things I wanted to stress that I was lucky to have happened to me was I was arrested for shoplifting. And somebody was really smart in Oakland, California, because that judge gave me a voucher for 60 days to go to the Shattuck Hotel. And there were no strings attached. I didn't have to be sober. I didn't have to do anything. All he told me I had to do was go look for a job and come back in 60 days. And he gave me another voucher for 60 days when I tried to do that. And one of the things, so I don't run out of time, I want to make mention, this housing crisis, the cost of space in this county has had a horrific impact on 12-step programs throughout the county because we have no space to meet. And if it wasn't for 12-step clubs where I could go as sick as I was, morning, noon, afternoon, and evening, to be with other sober people, to learn how to live sober, to learn how to hold a job, to learn how to wash my body, because I didn't even know how to do that. There were times, bathing was a once every 2 weeks proposition, and I didn't want to see my own body because of everything I'd been through. So I want you to know that people need to lose the attitude that I have to be a good person to deserve housing, that I have to be sober to deserve housing, because I am still in survival mode when I get out from the streets. The law does not apply to me because I'm still trying to survive. But by the grace of God, I had access to 12-step programs, which allowed me a foundation that eventually, and this is why AB 1400 has got to pass. This is why access to healthcare has to pass, because if it wasn't for the fact that I was put in an outpatient program for 3 years, I would not have the 27 years clean and sober I have today, and that's by the grace of God. I would not be the activist that I am today and make the contributions I make today. I would not be a lawyer for 22 years, certified specialist in bankruptcy, and seeing what's happening in our community because of the lack of housing. Do not dismiss the value of dignity, giving people the opportunity to get sober and recovered on their terms. Give them the housing without strings attached, and give them the opportunity to heal. Because until that judge gave me that door that I could lock and know that I was safe and I could sleep and be safe, there was no way I was going to be able to begin to unpack all of the baggage that needed to be unpacked so that I could be where I am today. I thank God for being given that opportunity, and I hope you as our community leaders can please keep the necessity of dignity and allowing people to process their trauma, because there's a lot of it out there. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Renee, for sharing your stories.